Now then, well, you'll see me here in garage, but Finn's not here. Can you see? Finn's here. Now, why am I'm giggling because I'm reminded of a scene from the Avengers that says, nobody asks why is Gamora. Nobody asks why is Firthy either, but what can we do? While I'm here, you can see it's balmy hot weather, and Taryn and I are off on holiday today. Camping holidays, not, you know what I mean. And so I thought it'd be a grand opportunity to show you how to put kayaks on a L663 Defender. And so what I'm going to do, it's going to be a bit tricky on my own, isn't it, for film and do, but I'm going to try and have a go and see if we can't get the kayaks on the roof. And there's a couple of different ways to do that. First way, because I've got this OEM full-length Expedition roof rack here that you can see. You've seen that before, haven't you? Well, makes it easier to put kayaks on because you can mount them directly onto the roof rack, if you see what I mean. But I've also got some J-racks somewhere, and I've got to root those out, and we're going to try and put those on. Now, J-racks are like they sort of springy up racks that hold your kayaks on, and the benefit of those is that if you only need one pair to fasten two kayaks, and then you've got a bit more space on the roof rack for other stuff. If you wanted, I don't know, if you wanted a top box, or you've got some boxes that you wanted put on, or whatever, you know, paddles or some other stuff, you know, bikes, you've got more room. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and show you both ways. First way I'm going to try and show you is put the kayaks on just on the deck on the top, and it's always best if you mount the kayaks upside down, and that's because you can squash the hull, especially when it's 36 degrees today. You can squash the hull if you pull down too hard on the straps. You can squash the hull and you can deform it, and that stops it cutting through the water quite as nicely. But if you turn it upside down, you've got less chance of that, because you're not squishing the hull to something solid, you're squishing the ropes to the hull, if that makes sense, and it's a bit easier somehow. Anyway, I'm going to just try and roll right through my head here is how I'm going to put camera for help you sort of see this, but I've literally no idea what I'm going to do, but I'll try and come up with something anyway, and we'll show you a couple of tricks and tips. I'm not sure how well we're going to go on here, if you can see me out, but I've set them up as best I can now. You'll see up here I've put a couple of clamps, really. It's just all they are now. The reason for that is because on the back here you've a shark fin, and the shark fin is quite susceptible to damage, and kayaks are heavy, and they do have habit because of this lovely cutout in the back of the OEM ladder, the OEM rack. What happens is that as you push it up, it slides into that groove naturally and falls onto the shark fin, which is a bit of a drama, really. But if you put something like that up, what that does is it sort of stops the thing sliding. So what I've done in the past is I've just grabbed the boat, and this is where your 300-pound ladder's a bit what do they call it, indispensable, really. But it's a brand new ladder, is this. Land Rover have just fitted it for me, and hopefully it'll be better than the last one. But anyway, now while you're up here, I just run mine up in these clamps so to stop it collapsing onto something sort of breakable, if you see what I mean. And then stop it falling off if you get it over here, you see. So just pull it up like this, and then flip it over, as I said, because you don't want to squish this hull in this heat, sorry. And just flip it over like that. And strap it down, basically. is how that goes. Something like that isn't so bad, is it? And then what I do is I get a couple of ratchet straps, or not ratchet straps but cam straps, because I like cam straps. If I was in the slightest bit organised, I've had these ready for you, but now it's worth just checking to make sure that your boat, if it's fitted with one of these, can close your back door. These are the cam straps I like. There are many different types. These have got bits of rubber that protect the bottom of the hull so that you don't mark them or crease them with these things. And I've got my GoPro up there, and with any luck I shall swap the video so you'll be able to see what I'm doing. But roughly speaking, fastening a boat on is no more different than fastening down a rod of wood. Because you want both boats fit on, you do want it to be over the head side a bit so you can get them fit. And then what I do, he says, kneeling up boat, is I find out where the cockpit comes up to, and I suppose I'd better just show you that by having it here. So cockpit comes to up here, and there's a bulkhead about here, and that's one of the strongest parts of the boat. So if you fasten down on bulkhead, you do better. There's usually a screw or something inside of the hull you can see. Here, look, and you can see where bulkhead is from that. So I try to put that bulkhead somewhere near where I'm fastening straps, and then I'll drop the straps over like this, just feed it, and then you just as you would just fasten this in the usual way, like that. Cinch it down, but not too tight, because you can squash this hull, and that's problematic. You don't want to do that. So, and of course I'd put another one here if I were going to fasten it down, and you know, I'd sort of strap it in exactly the same way. I'd loop this through underneath here, which is how you always fasten a cam strap, so you've got a good pull on your cross beams, and then over the top, round, and then back through again. Now I haven't fastened this down. The process of doing the other boat of course is exactly the same, but what I do recommend you do, because the boat, obviously I'm sat here, aren't I, but when you put the other boat on, it sort of gets in the way a bit of standing. So what I do is I always put my cam strap through here and then lie it over the back and over the front, and that means that when I get to putting the boat on, I can then just walk around to the back and bring the straps over the top of the hull, and that sort of makes that problem go away, if you see what I mean. And so there we go, that's the best way to put this on here. But the reason I'm stalling is because what I'm actually going to do, if I can get off, is I'm going to put on some J-racks, and I'll show you how the J-racks are a better mechanism to hold the boat, because they're slightly curved, which helps stop deform the bottom of the boat, and you can clamp two together and save some space on your rack. But it'll take me a minute or two to get that sorted. Anyway, this is a J-rack, and we've had a number of different types. We actually bought a Thule right at the very beginning, and we had a bit of a took the Land Rover down to Tahoe with the boats on, 2 boats and a bunch of other gear on, cut magically to a photograph of that, all loaded up with gear all everywhere really. And the Thule racks, the Thule J-racks, they didn't work very well. They sort of twisted a bit in the wind, and then they sort of came up, and they bent here in the bottom somehow, and it was a bit of a disaster. And so in the middle of tied it to the roof rack as best I could, and in the middle of Reno, in the desert, when he got all twitchy, I had to pull over, strap it, a big cam strap, ratchet strap all the way around, and hold it back again. But anyway, it didn't come off and it didn't cause any damage, so we left to see another day. But in Reno we bought these, and they were a bit pricey. These are Yakima ones, And they're a bit pricey, but to be honest, they're a better tool altogether. They're a much harder sort of tool. Now, I've got this camera on here, and I'll show you how you go on putting them on. So roughly noticing where my kayak went when I turned it upside down and where the bulkheads fell, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them here, because that, I think, is a nice position. Now, if you just sneak them in like that, you'll notice that you've got a thinner edge here on one of these bars than you have on the other, a bit fatter, so it's easy just to slide it in from one end and then clip the other bit over, and then all you do is I push it as far this way as possible to give as much room on the roof rack for any other gear. I mean, we're only going camping for a couple of days, so the reality is we haven't got a lot of gear to take this time round, and no pan lids. And the lack of squishy screws means that we've got a lot more usable space in the Defender, but that's another story. So all I'm doing is I'm just winding this knob up, as you can probably see here, and that squeezes this clamp around this bar, this crossbar, whatever you want to call it, and then it's all ready to go. It's actually a very, very simple process. This is where that ladder becomes pretty much indispensable, really, because you couldn't do that with like the D5, because you could never get up here, you know what I mean, or it wouldn't be that easy to get up here. It's on your own. You can overwind these if you're not careful, and you sort of have to just give it a bit of a feel to see how well it fits. Now, I should tell you that this rack, this OEM affair, they're made by Thule. I'm telling you, morning coffee this morning, it's a bit dry in the throat. Anyway, they're made by Thule, and that means that underneath these black rubber dudes here, you've got a T-slot. I have shown you in a couple of the other videos, you've got a T-groove in here. And Thule do make J-racks, and they make them to fit their cross things, and I don't know whether they fasten in the T-slots or not, but I would imagine they would of some description or other. So it might be, if you fancy getting a Thule one, if you're a big kayaker and you want the extreme fancy setup, then by all means go and get, you know, the Thule thing. It's just that my experience with the Thule J-rack wasn't a good one, and so what I've done is stuck with what I know, because that's kind of what I know what to do, really. Now, you want a bit of an angle on here because you don't want the boat vertical, but I am going to be fastening another boat to the back of it, and so as you sandwich, you know, you can imagine you've got a boat here and a boat here. You want this to be as near to vertical as possible, because that means that fastening the other one on is a little bit easier. So there's not quite as much play as I'd prefer, so I'm going to just put mine in the next position up, and then bringing the boat up is just the same as it was before. Now, this is a big boat. This is a 15-foot boat, and it is quite heavy because it's also loaded, so it's much heavier than a standard boat would be, and much heavier than our Terrans. Now, you can see that my bulkhead sort of comes here on this boat, but this front J-rack isn't in the right place. The front J-rack needs to be moved one spot further forward. Now I've adjusted my camera a bit here because I could see that you weren't getting the whole boat and nothing but the boat, as it were. Now, with these cam straps, a lot of people try to go all the way around the J-rack, but that's not what it's for. The J-rack you have to consider as being the permanent fixture to your car, and all you have to do is sort of cinch the boat into it. and you have to be a bit careful how you do that, again, because you don't want to squash the hull. So technically the correct way to do it is just to go down across the top of the hoop, if you want, then back over and then round to the front, in much the same way that I was going underneath the cross member to fasten the boat on when I didn't have the J-racks. But again, this ladder makes the job so much more easy. You can see a bit better from this angle here. What I do is I just take this through here and then back over the top, noticing that I've just twisted me ropes, just because I like things just being nice, I do. And then this pulls the boat into here and straps it around the front. Now, properly speaking, this strap, or this strap here, is meant to go underneath here and around this lip, and then you're meant to cinch up, but I like to strap it to the bottom here because I have had occasion where the boat has moved about a bit and this strap has started to come free of this bit of there's only a little ledge here, and you don't need to give it much because you don't want to squash the hull and you don't want to pull it off, so that's enough. Same story goes with the next one, just down and round, back through, and then same again, making sure that you keep this bit of a rubber thing on the hull so it doesn't scratch or start to mark the hull. I'm going to have to go over the top on this one because I mean, I suppose I could get at it from the door, but seeing as we've got a ladder, we might as well use it and make life easy. Can't tell you how hot this boat is already. The sun's a funny thing, isn't it? Now again, for those of you who will, now I've turned the camera around and moved it, be able to see perhaps a bit better here, I'm just going to drape this over the top. This is going to go through here, and I add a little twist because I like the name always on the same side, so I know that there's only one twist in the strap. And here again, instead of going underneath here, I'm just going to go round here and then back up. To the top. I could stand on a ladder, couldn't I? But best if you keep these out of the way so you don't stand on them and lose your footing. Now this is here, look. I'm just going to straighten this so it's the writing is on the outside. And I don't need much because it's hot. That'll do. Now to get rid of this excess, you've seen me do this before, go around the loop, find the pinch point. I'm going to be doing a good job of showing you this. Round the loop, round the pinch point, form a little loop and then pull. And there it is, done. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I'll sneak that up later. Now we'll turn to getting the second boat on the roof. Now I can with this boat, well I can with the other boat actually, but for purposes of demonstration I'll put it up in a bit more of a sort of organised way, but I can just pick it up and throw it up. But this boat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rest it up, and I've got a lot of stuff in this boat again and there's no cover on it, so I'm just going to rest it on the tool. and then I'm just going to push it up. There are a couple of ways of getting this up, as you've probably determined, but like I said, this with being a lighter boat, it's a little bit more easy to manage. Again, I've put the clamps up just so it doesn't slide. And I've knocked one off, look, but just so it doesn't slide into that shark fin, which is many thousands of dollars worth of drama. Again, the bulkhead's here and here, so because human beings are roughly the same size, aren't they? Let me come down here a bit. Because human beings are roughly the same size, you know, obviously the bulkheads are roughly in the same place. And then we'll fasten one of these straps around the whole two and hold them together. Yeah, a lot of panting here, but basically, I know you can't see very much, but all I'm doing is I'm just fastening this strap around the outside of the boat. Now I'm just taking up the slack here, and I just want to get that boat a bit more nicely positioned, because if it's too on the top, then it doesn't, the strap doesn't come tight, and if it's too this way, then it slides off. But you'll figure that out when you fiddle about with your own boats, because they're all different sizes and shapes, and you'll see the difficulties that you'll come across. Now I've got another strap here, look. So we'll just line that over the top. And I hope that strap's long enough, because he didn't feel it. Oh, it is just. And basically, bar sneaking the ends together, tightening up, moving them out of the way, that's it. You'll notice that there's a bit of a twist in here, and I do that intentionally on the last boat, because as you drive down the road, the air vibrates through the strap and starts to make it read, which can be quite annoying. So on the back one I've got a twist, and on the front one I'll put a twist by just going up and pulling it out and giving it 2 twists, and then cinching it up a bit more, and it'll be fine. And that's it. Well, now I wasn't bothered in 36-degree heat, and I'm struggling shoving those boats up. I think that'll be it for today. You'll be seeing shortly, no doubt, a couple of videos of the difficulties I've had with JLR. Right, hey look, I'm at Jaguar Land Rover at Calgary here, and I've come to pick up Finn, and he's here, look. And we've read through the things, and they haven't fixed anything really. But we're just having a week's camping, or 4 or 5 days camping, so I'm going to put that out of my mind, and we'll discuss it when I get back. And we'll just have a bit more fun with Finn, as long as he holds up, and we'll enjoy a bit of a nice boating. I'll take some photographs while I'm out there, and you can see what we're up to with Land Rover and boating and kayaking and dip in the ocean, I suppose. Not in the ocean, but in the lake, and that'll do. So thanks very much once again for tuning in. I do hope that's been useful to you. Good luck if you're mounting your kayaks and you wanted a bit of advice and you're not quite sure how to go on. I hope that helps a bit. And it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from Finn. Cheerio.